Okay, ito'y ikalabing-4 ng Abril po. Evening po dito sa Pilipinas. Alas 6 ng hating gabi din siguro sa Middle East. And going westward, the previous day pa po, April 13, and so on. Good morning naman doon sa mga kababayan natin and our international friends in the West. Good morning. And we have a load of news items to analyze, a load of fake news to burst. Pasasabugin natin mga fake news na nilalabas ng kontroladong media ng US at ng mga American boys dito sa Pilipinas. And for the betterment of mankind, for the betterment of the world, let's have the truth always. And let me just go to our maestra para makabati po itong araw na to, and then to our maestro. Maestra, please.
Hi, good afternoon po. At good evening na pala sa lahat. At maraming salamat po sa pagsama sa amin for another 2 hours na itatalakay po natin yung mga issues na na-prepare po ngayon. At sobrang hot, kumbaga hot sa hot cake pa. So, we'll see you in the next 2 hours. So.
Okay, Maestro Ado.
Well, as always, nandito po kami handang magsilbi at handang maglahad ng mga katotohanan. Miski na masakit kuminsan na kailangan sabihin dahil marami po nag-aabuso ng tiwala natin sa isa't isa at ang tiwala ng bayan natin sa mga namumuno. Kailangan po from time to time we have to take stock of all this and review and see where we're at or how far, how long or how short we've gone. Good evening po sa inyo lahat.
Okay, araw-araw po, kada oras ng 24 oras sa buhay natin dito sa information age, tuloy-tuloy din po ang information war. But before that, let me check if there are names already dahil nangako tayo na tayo ay maggagantimpala sa mga unang mga pangalan na lumabas sa ating screen with the book of Kaado Paglinawan. Now, I think I'm slowly developing the rules for this. It's not a contest, of course, just for fun and for the spread of knowledge, no? Yung aklat ni Kaado Paglinawan is the first one we will start giving to our valued audience who helps us spread the truth around the world too, no? And that is, of course, on the issue of the vaccine. The first, and only once, no, every 6 months siguro, kasi meron talagang maaga eh. Kung tuwing programa yung isang pangalan, hindi na makakakuha yung iba. So, one time lang po, no? So, the first name dito sa aking, ano ba to, YouTube o Facebook? Facebook ito, no? Global Talk News Radio. AZ Dang Saida Reyes, the first one. Sa Pilipinas po ito, sa Caloocan. So, it's easy to send it by siguro Mr. Speedy. Ang number 2 po si Kevin M. Bourbon. Siguro we'll give it to 2 people today, dito sa Facebook. I'll write down the names para hindi natin malimutan at Kevin. But they will not win again in the next 6 months because we will look for the others to send the book to, Sayang, Juliet, next time ka na. Number 3 si Juliet Camaro dito sa Facebook. Okay. Dito naman sa YouTube, sa ating GTNR Power Things, si Dante Sumaong. Okay, susulat ko ng pangalan. Sumaong. I don't know how to pronounce this. I hope I'm correct. And si Pablo Habeliana. Okay. And if you can text us or email bang mas maganda, their address so we can send it. No? Yan ang aklat po na padadala natin. Wala pang abroad, no? Si Pablo Avellanas, si Dante Sumong, are they both from the Philippines in Metro Manila area? Okay. And next time naman si Gay Boy Roy. Pangatlo po siyang pangalan na lumabas, Gay Boy Roy, you know? So, next time siguro, Gay. And so, let me see, contact at globaltalknewsradio@gmail.com. And I'll repeat that, no? Please write it down, ano? Yung mga pangalan na nabasa ko po, ano? Contact us at globaltalknewsradio@gmail.com. We will put it on the screen in a while. Now we will put it on the screen. So we have 4 grantees, that's a better word siguro, of our early bird book. And the book is from Kaado Paglinawan on the vaccine. Now, araw-araw tulad ng sinabi ko, kada oras po, the information war rages, ano? And alam naman natin ng mainstream media kung anong information fake news nila every day. No? But yung mga kapanig natin, ano, kakosa natin, ay nandyan din po. One of them, of course, is Sas Rogando sa kanyang website For the Motherland. I'd like to mention yung sinabi niya, Julian Reef is not going to be the Scarborough Shoal of the Duterte administration. Mga dilaw, huwag nang ipilit na maulit ang kapalpakan nyo noon. Ano? And I did not make an image of that anymore. But I just wanted to input that. May dalawa siyang post eh. Ano, I will take a look at the other one a bit later. But we have, first segment is 5 fake news, information, 5 fake news developments, which I will report in cluster. And so if you can take note, Maestra Ana, Maestra Ado, so that you can also give your analysis in a cluster too, to save time. Okay, the first item I prepared is the fake news of the missile boat chase. Alam naman natin yan, ilang araw na po yan ginagatungan. Pero ang importante po dito, yung ulat ng Pinoy expose ng ating kakosa na si Paul Gutierrez, President ng National Press Club, at yung kanyang taglish tabloid na Pinoy expose. Very well prepared website, pero may hard copy din sila kung ilan libo po ang nabebenta at nadidistribute yan. But of course, for our friends here and our friends across the world, you can go to the website, hanapin lang yung Pinoy expose, and you will find it. But ang maganda po yung kanilang latest report tungkol dito sa involvement ng foreign agencies dito sa fake news na to. Ang pamagat po ng ulat nila, dated April 13, which is now on your screen, ABS-CBN visit to the West Philippine Sea, so-called, is another CIA provocation. Ang ating caption po na ating pinote from Pinoy Expose, this after information reached Pinoy Expose that the sortie to the West Philippine Sea has long been on the drawing board of the Institute for War and Peace Reporting. Remember that, kasi madalas na po natin i-report ang mga pinagagawa po nito. Institute for War and Peace Reporting, IWPR, which has close ties to the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, KAF. This is a German conservative foundation associated with the Christian Democrats in Germany. It is a CIA-funded operation. Kilala ko din yung Konrad Adenauer Foundation. Yan ang nagsuporta kay Raul Manglapos at yung Christian Socialist Movement dito sa Pilipinas 30, 50 years ago. And the Young Christian Socialists of the Philippines, Si Kaado would be familiar with that. Si Maestra Ana, hindi ka pa familiar din sa mga yun, ano?
Oh, familiar po ako. Familiar ako. They're extending funds for quote-unquote research project, but they're very political po.
And of course, the International Institute for War and Peace Reporting is also supported by the National Endowment for Democracy, the new name for CIA, and both of which are known conduits for this Central Intelligence Agency. At ano pa ang pinopondohan nila? Ito po galing sa report ng Pinoy Expose. These include money for the local media's, quote, transparency and media resiliency fund, unquote, and actual, quote, content fund, unquote, such as opinion and editorials, 13,000 pesos, radio reports, 16,000 pesos, investigative in-depth report, 25,000 per report, and investigative research and multimedia reporting, 51,000 pesos. IWPR is also willing to give money for the Philippine media's, quote, literary fund, unquote, mga poets, novelists, yan mga yan. And, quote again, media champions and expert analysts fund, unquote, at a minimum of 150,000 pesos each. Now, I'm not going to point an accusing finger, but in the past few days, sino ang mga so-called experts and scholars na lumabas? One of them is Clarita Carlos. Tapatan po tayo. I'm not accusing her, pero tingnan po nyo ang around 30-40-year history ng commentator role niya sa Philippine media. Puro pro-American ang sinasabi. But of course, I'm not accusing. I'm just saying, is that a coincidence? Okay. And the next item is Maestra is taking notes. Ito naman, yung fake news tungkol sa kuryente po natin. And ito ay galing sa ulat ni Buchunya sa atin. Na ang ERC po is pulling, what is po ERC, Energy Regulatory Commission pulling this time? Another fast one, for sure, but not again. ERC is now making a 5th regulatory period while the 4th regulatory period has not been implemented. I don't know if Maestra Ana is familiar with this. Baka mababaguhan siya dito. Si Kaado and I have been pursuing these issues for many years already. Ang kuryente po natin, ang price setting po is done through the regulatory period, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. I think this is 2 years to 4 years na regulatory period. And dapat ini-evaluate lahat ng costings and so on bago mag-set ng presyo ng kuryente natin. So this is very fundamental sa buhay ng Pilipino. There are, I think, 6 million subscribers to Meralco, for example. So, ang daming buhay na apektado nito. And I think we all know that the Philippines is the highest relative to its economy, electricity rates in ASEAN and in Asia. So, yan po. Ang sinasabi, suma total ni Buchunya, ang sinasabi na refund ng Meralco to the Filipino consumers is supposed to be or should be 92 billion pesos and not 13 billion pesos as the ERC is saying. And how do they do it? By keeping the postponement going on, nung totoong evaluation ng costs and rates. Okay, I'll go on to the third, this week, dalawang fake news about Sinovac. Unang-una, Chilean University report on Sinovac vaccine na lumabas sa column ni Alex Magno, which I criticized already. And yung report naman na galing din dito sa report na to ni one of the sources of Yen Makabenta ng Manila Times, ito at yung Falun Gong Epoch Times, if I recall correctly, na source niya, parehong fake news. itong Chilean University report na hanggang ngayon po ginagamit pa is not even a serious study. Ano? The report by the Chilean University that has been cited by some foreign media as proof that Chinese company Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine is not protective, etc., is not even close to being a research paper. Hindi seryosong research ito. Pero may napulot lang, yan, ikakalat sa buong mundo, paulit-ulit, kahit na kinlarify niya, na-clarify niya, no? And of course, the next report is connected to this. Yung inuulat din at ginamit ng ilang mga diaryo dito, I think ginamit din yan makabenta, yung sinasabi ng CDC China director na mahina daw, low protection rate of the Chinese vaccines. Actually, that was a scientific discussion na sinasabi na kailangan ma-improve pa by studying and adjusting the rate of the dosage and the interval, yung panahon between the first dose and second dose. Pero a scientific discussion which is honest and objective, kanilang binaluktot na sinasabi daw ng CDC director, mismo official daw, kuno meron pang quotation mark, official, na mahina daw yung Sinovac. Maybe at this point, I will request Joshua to prepare that video if it's weak, yung video of Jaime Sobel de Ayala taking the Sinovac vaccine, but we will see later. What is our next? Is it part of the fake news still, itong next item? Well, it's part of the fake news. Yung fake news ni Ambassador Babe Romualdez nung nakaraang taon, October 17, 2020, na sinabi ni Ambassador Babes Romualdez ng Pilipinas sa Washington na excited na ang Pfizer, Pfizer to send its vaccine to the Philippines. Yan po, no? Sa column ni si Babes Romualdez, may dalawang column, one in Philippine Star and one in Business World, no? And sa column niya sa Business World during that time, October 17, 2020, sabi niya, DFA Secretary Locsin mentioned our need for the vaccine as soon as it was available during a telephone conversation he had with U.S. State Department Secretary Pompeo. I followed up with a phone call to the White House, National Security Advisor Pompeo, and everything went into motion, sabi ni Babes Romualdez, with Pfizer taking the lead in getting in touch with us. Tinuwagan na siya. In motion na daw. So that means, padadala na tayo ng vaccine. 7 months after today, wala pang Pfizer. And it seems that in the next 7 months, hindi pa rin darating yan. Yan ang mga fake news nito mga amboys. Samantalang ang China, dumating na February 28, ang kalahating milyon, umabot ng 1 milyon eventually yung donated vaccines from China, yung Sinovac, and ngayon pati si Ambassador si Ambassador dati to the Court of St. James, Jaime Sobel de Ayala, ay nagpaturok na nitong Sinovac vaccine. So let's take a very short look at this video of Jaime Sobel de Ayala in, I think, Forbes ba yan, no? Ayan. Okay, so that's a very short clip. Of course, good PR for Jaime Sobel de Ayala yan, but the fact is, he had the Sinovac vaccine. So I thought that would also help dispel all the negative fake news nitong mga pinapakalat ng mga amboys. Talagang grabe ang kanilang kinakalat na fake news. Okay, so reactions. Maestra, first on all the 5 items.
kung isa-summarize ko po lahat ng 5 items, isa lang ho yung isang phrase, agitation, propaganda, lahat yan. Una, yung sa ABS-CBN, sinasabi hinabol. Pero kung titignan mo yung video, wala. Pero ang storya naman po talaga doon, nilagay nila yon, may spin-off, nilagay nila yon sa araw ng Kagitingan. Yun yung spin-off po Nilagay nila yun sa araw ng Kagitingan precisely because they want to agitate the people and to be anxious. At saka araw ng Kagitingan para kunyari ipaglaban daw natin ang ating bansa over sa China kasi nga si Sara Sembrano inahabol. My goodness, no? Parang they're trying really to make a fool out of us, no, as Filipino, no, na as if we cannot differentiate from what is legitimate news and what is propaganda, no, or agitation. Saka one thing, as a reporter, supposedly, is you're the one na naghahanap ng news. Hindi ka nag-create ng news. Magkaiba yon. But this thing, sila ang naging news, sila ang subject ng news, at sila ang gumawa ng news, which is perplexing talaga ang dating. Yun yung hindi totoo po. Perplexing, di ba? I mean, like, parang, hello, okay ka lang. Ikaw ang naging subject ng news. Ikaw din yung reporter. Ikaw din ang bida sa news mo. Parang, okay ka lang. Yun lang ang reaction ko. Okay ka lang. Pero totoo po, yung NED, when I was based in Myanmar, in Thailand, and was at the border, NED is National Endowment for Democracy. I had some contacts with them when I was working at the border, sa border ng Myanmar, at saka different borders, no? Kasi I was staying at different borders. Totoo yun. They are funding, they're extending funding for quote-unquote democratic forces, no? In different countries, not only in the Philippines, but in different countries. Kasi ako, once upon a time, I actually applied for an organization sa kanila. Unfortunately, mabuti na lang, hindi kami napondohan. Opo.
Let's go to Kato and then back to Ana and the other topics of that first segment natin on fake news. Kato, which one are you focusing on dito sa mga 5 fake news na ating nabanggit, naulat?
Una-una, dito sa ARC,
Ayan.
actually, pumapasok na sila sa 5th regulatory period. Actually, hindi 4th regulatory period to. Correction kay Butso niya. 4 regulatory periods. 4 regulatory periods. Hindi 4th. 4 na regulatory periods. Pumupunta na sila sa panlima. Itong 4, wala pa. And they are supposed to refund about 200 million. Ang gusto lang ni De Banadera, 13 billion lang refund. Tapos ang refund, manggagaling pa sa provisional price increase. E di sa tao rin, sa atin din kukunin pa rin. Anak ng pating ng bulahan to. Pagka ganito, naghahanap na ako ng Armalite. Nakakapigulit ito. Pangalawa, ito si Bibson Waldes, well, alam naman natin, wala naman talaga tayong independent foreign policy. Tayo lang ni Digong yan. Si A at si B pag-aawayin, tapos siya papasok sa gitna. Kunwari, siya, yung bang, yan ang concept niya ng Solomonic wisdom. Pero actually, walang wisdom dyan. Dahil si A, kakasahan mo, papuputokin naman ni B, kakasahan mo si B, papuputokan naman ni A. No? Dito sa A, sa mga Americans, ang ating Department of Foreign Affairs is run by a British boy, si Luxin. Ang ating embassy sa US, run naman ba yan ang boy, si Herman ng US Embassy before Duterte came. So what else is new? When you get to yung Pfizer, asa na? Dito sa, ano ba ito, low protection rate of Chinese vaccines, oy, mga bobo, anything over 50%
Yes.
is good vaccine. No?
Mm.
Kaya nga si, si Ayala nagpaturok na eh. Anong gusto mo? Yung 97% Pfizer, effectivity kuno, pero hindi naman available. O itong 50+%. Actually, mas safe nga yung mababa ang effectivity kasi they tend to have less side effects. No? O ito namang missile boat, huwag na natin pag-usapan to dahil para lumapit yung barko, sinuzoom in, zoom out ng photographer. So, ayan mga kabansa. Now, itong mga fake news na ito is heavily funded in US dollars. Alam po ninyo, may nangyari noong 1982-83 when Reagan became president of the US. The US Congress passed resolution number 2915. It was the House, no? It was the House of Representatives. Resolution number 2915. That was November 18, 1983. Kasi lumabas ang evaluation report noon na wala na yung Central Intelligence Agency basta nag-overt. Dalawa ho kasi ang intelligence activity. One is overt, open, and the other one is covert, covered. Sabrosa. Ito isa bukas. Dito sa bukas, gumawa sila ng resolusyon na lahat na activities ng Central Intelligence Agency will no longer go to the CIA in Langley, but now will be run by the National Endowment for Democracy. So, yan ho, no? Packaging. Kinalta ng pangalan. Okay? Kumbaga, gwapo dati, ginawa na lang pogi ngayon. So, pareho rin ho yan. Gagamitin yan ng host country, the United States, para sa kanyang cosmetics around the world. No? So, yan po. It's as simple as that. And we have been receiving, we have a building in Dewey Boulevard that is fully funded by the Central Intelligence Agency through the Official Development Assistance Fund that we get through the U.S. Embassy. No? I'm talking about the Ramon Magsaysay building there. No? That's it. Puro CIA ho laban nun. Foundation for Asia.
Asia Foundation.
Press, kung ano-ano. Pero doon nag-opisina yung mga yun. At that building was constructed precisely to house the CIA operations and also the NED operations in the Philippines.
Okay. Well, let's get back to Anna. Anything else on the other items there in the fake news segment? Please, go ahead.
Doon lang sa may vaccine, no? Yung sa Pfizer, based doon sa last na address to the nation, nag-report si FDA Domingo. Until now, Pfizer did not even apply for EUA. Even Moderna hindi pa. Unless na lang nag-apply na sila. So, alam mo yon, yung interest nila talaga, kung talagang nandyan, dapat nag-a-apply na sila ng EUA. Kasi hindi ka rin naman pwedeng magkaroon, hindi mo pwedeng i-distribute yung vaccine even if it's here kung wala kang EUA. So until now, ang tagal-tagal ng sinasabi mag-a-apply. Bukas, this week. Until kingdom come, hindi pa nag-a-apply eh. So ano ba talaga? 'Di ba? Kasi doon mo makikita yung interest eh. And on the other hand, when it comes to efficacy,
yung EUA is the Emergency Use Authorization.
Kailangan yon. Kasi kung wala nun, hindi pwedeng mag-administer ng vaccine. Sususugan ko lang yung sinasabi ni Kaado, na sinasabi niya, basta 50% up. example of that, which is a vaccine, a very, very useful and very, it's been used for too long already in this world. It's not only the Philippines, it's actually yung tinatawag mong influenza vaccine. Ang influenza vaccine has an effective rate na 40 to 60%. But it is very effective. And it prevented lives from dying, no? So hindi natin dapat bigyan ng spin-off or negative connotation kung sinasabi na 50% up. And even then, dun sa Turkish study, ngayon lang kalalabas, ngayong March lang, nakalalabas yan, yung phase 3 trial ng Sinovac. Ang efficacy rate niya sa phase 3, no? Kasi bumaba ng konti, pero still mataas. 83.5%. And this is new because phase 3 trial na to, hindi na ito yung phase 1 and phase 2. So, mahirap sabihin na ang Sinovac is not effective tulad ng lumalabas na mga news na spin off nila. No? At saka sa dami ng tao sa mundo na naturukan ng vaccine na yan, so far, thus far, wala namang news. Actually, may bago ngayon, yung Johnson & Johnson. I've read an article that they stopped doing inoculating people in America precisely because nagkakaroon din ng blood clot. So, temporarily suspended. But Sinovac, thus far, sa awa ng Diyos, kasi ito yung vaccine natin, wala pa naman po ng mga ganon. So, let's look at facts and let's look at the real situation. Yun po yung additional na info ko.
Definition of terms lang, no? Ang efficacy po does not mean the same thing as effectiveness.
Yes.
Efficacy is just the ability to produce a desired or intended result. Ngayon, ang effectiveness, no, is yung level at which it delivers this desired result. Ang efficiency naman is how and when that efficacy is delivered. So, iba-iba ho meaning yan. No? Hindi pag sinabing effectiveness, ano effectiveness? 97%? Hindi. Kasi depende pa rin doon sa katawan ng tao eh. Iba-iba ho. No two individuals are the same. Maybe kay Ana, mag-60% lang yan. Pero sa akin, siguro, baka 70%. Kay Mentong, 80%. Depende eh. So, huwag natin gawin yan. Ngayon, pagka 20% lang, hindi ho tinatanggap ng WHO yan. It has to be 40 pataas. No? Yung mga polio, yung mga vaccine na ganyan, hindi ho naman. Wala na, there's no such thing as 100% effectiveness.
Yeah.
Depende sa katawan ng tao yan.
And yung 50.4% effectiveness ng Sinovac na sinasabi, yun yung test sa Brazil. If I'm not mistaken, yes, Brazil, kung saan sinubukan nila yung test na yun sa frontliners. Lahat na mga humaharap sa medical personnel.
Medical frontliners.
Kaya doon sa ibang, the conclusion from that test is that it prevents 100% serious COVID cases that requires hospitalization. So ganyan din naman sa ibang mga vaccines, no? May mga different levels of effectivity. Ang importante, it does not become serious, that you have enough antibodies na na-build up na para kung may pumasok, may laban ang katawan. Yeah, okay. But now I'll focus on the spin-off doon sa so-called missile boat na hinabol sila Zambrano, and then itong 220 maritime militia daw that actually is just fishing boat. Yung nagsialisan na para mangisda na sinabi naman ng Chinese Embassy na yan nga ang mangyayari. Ano naman ang spin ng ABS-CBN at iba ngayon? Nandiyan pa sila sa West Philippine Sea. Ang Siam daw nasa Julian Felipe, 65 daw na sa Makinan Reef, 6 daw na sa Mischief Reef, 11 sa Ayungin. Ano ba gusto niyong gawin? Linisin, walisin silang lahat yan? Subukan nga ninyo. So, disinformation at panggugulo lang ang ginagawa. Dahil kaanan, pinost mo nga yung satellite image ng Vietnamese na higit 8,000 mga fishing boats sila ang nakakalat sa buong South China Sea and West Philippine Sea, and even in the territorial waters of the littoral countries. And meron naman tayong pinost paulit-ulit na Vietnamese fishing boat na hinuli sa Tawi-Tawi within the internal waters ng Pilipinas. Alam po ninyo, traditional fishing grounds yan ng Vietnamese, Chinese, Taiwanese, Malaysian, Filipino fishermen. Lahat yan nandiyan. Pero nagbubulag-bulagan itong mga fake news people sa Vietnamese. And yung sariling mga fishermen natin na nakakalat din dyan, na pumupunta rin sa Scarborough Shoal, not the lagoon, but the shoal, ang ating fishermen. So, binubulag nilang parte na gusto nilang ibulag ang publiko. Reaction from Ado, Ana.
Sa akin po, I think one specific thing na ginagamit nila at tinitwist nila is yung word na sovereignty at sovereign rights. Actually, ang sovereign rights, hindi nila ginagamit sa mga news nila na agitation, propaganda, or agitated news, no? Ang ginagamit nila lagi is sovereignty. But people does not understand at hindi nakikita ng tao na ang sovereignty, ang ibig sabihin nun, pag-aari. Ang South China Sea ay hindi pag-aari ng Pilipinas. Even yung tinatawag nating exclusive economic zone, wala tayong sovereignty, wala tayong sovereignty doon. Meron tayo sovereign rights. Ang sovereign rights at sovereignty, magkaiba yon. Ang may sovereignty tayo, territorial waters natin. Pero outside of the territorial waters, wala. Sovereign rights, anong ibig sabihin? Mame, ipaliwanag mo yan ni Kaado kasi mas magaling siya dito. Ang sinasabi lang sa sovereign rights is we have the rights to exploit the resources na nandyan sa EEC. But that doesn't mean even na hindi pwedeng pumasok dyan ang mga boats ng ibang neighboring countries. Like, for example, Vietnam or Taiwan or ibig sabihin China. Pwede actually dumaan. Pero tayo, may exclusive rights tayo to exploit, use the resources there. No, yun yung sinasabi lang. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na may sovereignty tayo or pag-aari natin yun. Malinaw yan. Ilang beses ko na yan pinost sa Facebook wall ko na nakalagay pa doon yung specific na provision ng on clause. Pero mahirap po, titignan mo yung mga statements at even mga news, they interchangeably use that. And sometimes they don't even use sovereign rights. So yung tao, hindi nila ma-distinguish. Doon na nagkakaroon ng agitation. Kasi ang tao, feeling nila, sabihin niya namin, amin yan. Yun yung ginagawa ng media ngayon.
Well, tulad nga ng sinasabi sa Biblia, I'm not a Bible expert, pero alam ko yung storya na sa Babylon, nilito muna ang lengguwahe ng taong bayan para guluhin, di ba? And yan ang ginagawa po nitong mga Amerikano at ng mga amboys sa pamamagitan ng kontrolado nilang media. I don't know if Kaado has anything to add to this. We can move on to the next items. Kaado, anything else you want to add to this?
I will only say na kasi mahabang diskurso yan. Lalabas bukas sa sovereignph.com yung first part ng column ko. No? Doon na lang ho ninyo basahin. Pero tama ho yung sinasabi ni Ana na ang pag-aari ay territorial sovereignty. It is your ownership over a given territory. Ngayon, pinaniwala ho nila tayo na basta 200 nautical miles palabas ng ating given boundaries ay meron tayong exclusive economic right. Paano ho yan kung bumangga tayo sa claim ng ibang country? Automatic ho bang 200 nautical miles yan? Halimbawa, nagsalubong. 100 pa lang kasi nagwa 100 naman yung kabila. Tapos dito sa banda rito may nagte-30 o may nagpo-40 dyan sa banda riyan. The only reality that is really present in the South China Sea is there are 6 countries and 1 de facto state, which is Taiwan, that has a claim in the area. And there are conflicting claims. So the best that we can do in the South China Sea, because the United Nations do not accept any applications for exclusivity in areas where there are disputes. Sentido común lang ho eh. May mga nag-aaway. Paano naman papasok? Oh. Walang iniwan yan doon sa mga, halimbawa, 6, 7 anak. Hindi pa patay yung nanay, hindi pa patay yung tatay. Gusto nang kunin yung mana nila. Abay, teka muna. Sasabihin ng nanay, 6 kayo. Hindi mo pwede magsalo-salo muna kayo dyan. Total, hindi pa kami patay. At pagpatay na kami, saka na lang natin subdivide yan. Oh, ganun yan eh.
Kado, mabuti ang mga bansa walang kamatayan. Yun ang theory, ano? And so anong kalalabasan nito? This will be negotiated, ano? In the end. Pag-uusapan lahat yan.
Hindi, kung saan ang tutumbukan, yung mga countries, sila mag-negotiate doon. Kung 3 sila nagtutumbukan doon, like dito sa paakyat na sa Paracel, paakyat na ng Spratly, Vietnam, China, and the Philippines na ho dyan. Pero pababa dito sa bandang kaliwa, nandiyan ang Malaysia, pumapasok ng konti dyan ng Taiwan, dito sa bandang kanan. Depende ho kung sino kabanggaan. Sharing. Pero ulitin ko, in areas na may dispute, hindi po tumatanggap ng application for exclusivity. And exclusivity, therefore, is not automatic. Number 3,
Okay.
just as in the case of the Benham rice na didiscusin natin mamaya, pwede dyan dahil Pilipinas lang po ang may claim dyan. Nag-iisa
Okay.
tayo.
I will just move on now kasi it's now 6:46 or 6:45, no? So we'll move on. May babanggitin lang ako, Kado. My next title for the Sovereign PH article is, right now it is still this, no? DFA as diplomatic protest menu machine. No? Araw-araw nagdi-diplomatic protest si Locsin. Parang imprenta ng diplomatic. Nawawala ng kahulugan. Baka mas marami pang na-imprenta na ng diplomatic protest than the number of sheets in a toilet paper roll so far. Ano? Nawawala ng kahulugan po yung diplomatic protest.
Nasabihin ko kay Steven Pabalinas, kumuha na isang cartoon na itong si Teddy Boy Locsin is the boy who cried wolf. Kaya wala nang maniniwala dyan.
Ayan na nga. At dahil diyan sa ginagawa nila, hindi lang si Locsin, si Lorenzana, si Romualdez, Bidge Romualdez, and so on. Tayo ay lumalabas na katawa-tawa na ngayon sa ASEAN. Ano? Hindi po pwedeng walang konsekwensya yung pinagagawa po nila. Ano? Nawawala ng kahulugan ng ating diplomatic protest. Paano na sa mga darating na panahon na kung may seryosong insidente, hindi na masiseryoso yung diplomatic protest. But we have to move on and our next batch of items to discuss is the good news, yung magandang balita. Ano? And that is from the many build projects ng ating administrasyon sa tulong ng China. At most important of all, China is already going to start exploiting flammable ice. Lumiliyab na yelo. Ano kaya yun? Actually, the other name for the flammable ice is methane hydrate. I wrote about this 20 years ago. Dahil sa Philippine Deep, meron tayo niyan. It is only recently that I discovered sa South China Sea, meron din yan. So this could be a subject kung saan lugar yan makikita ng bilateral negotiation and joint venture tulad ng joint venture natin sa Mischief Reef, dito sa oil and gas joint development. But let's start with the other good news first. And we reported it in our Sunday program. So hindi pa natin na-report ito dito sa Power Things natin ng Miyerkules, kaya this is the first time here. Alam po ninyo, yung panggugulo po na ginagawa ng Amboy dito sa agitation and propaganda at mga ng US, bahagi itong pagtatakip nila pag papalabo ng tubig para hindi makita itong mga good news nga. Diban doon sa Sinovac vaccine na tulong ng China, itong mga ito. Number one, yung Estrella Pantaleon Bridge sa Pasig River ay binibilisan na, fast track. At sa Hunyo po, magbubukas na po yan na 50,000 sasakyan ang makakagamit po niyan araw-araw. No? Higit sa, dati 10,000 lang yan eh. No? Ngayon, magiging 4-lane po. Ang laki ng maitutulong sa pag-iibsan ba, is that the right Tagalog word, ng traffic din sa Guadalupe Bridge, dyan sa EDSA. So, yan dapat ating ipinagmamalaki. Pero paano makakapasok yun sa front page kung sangkatutak na fake news ang pinapasok nila, hindi ba? And sunod dyan po, ganyan din po, yung donation, lahat-lahat yan, mga 3.5 billion pesos, or 3 billion to 3.5 billion pesos ng China.
100 million US dollars.
100 US dollars. So mga 5 billion pesos.
100 million.
100 million US dollars. The Binondo Intramuros Bridge naman, ang target po ay Setyembre ng 2021. Kahit nasa gitna nitong COVID-19 pandemic, mga 80 to 90% ang pace ng trabaho po nila para ma-deliver na po ito. Actually, ang target ay nung nakaraang taon, pero yung COVID-19 lockdown was very strict last year. And hindi lang po dito sa Pasig River sa Metro Manila, yung build doon sa Davao, tuloy po yung expressway. Tuloy-tuloy po yung paggagawa niyan. Ito ay galing sa loan naman sa China. The Davao City Expressway Project, latest update, April 2021. Tuloy-tuloy po yan at matatapos very soon o wala lang petsang binigay po dito. And now, of course, to the new development, April 14 lang, itong araw lang, ito lang po, lumabas ang balita galing sa CGTN. Flammable ice, China aims for commercial extraction by 2030. So matagal pa po yung actual extraction, pero ibig sabihin po ngayon, 2021, meron na pong technology sila, at yan ay i-develop na. Kasi aside from our own possible share dito sa South China Sea with China, sigurado sa Benham Rice. Kasi I wrote about this 20 years ago. Ito galing sa isang website. Huge deposits of methane hydrate in Benham Rice would turn the Philippines into a natural gas exporter. Now, yung lalim po ng mga methane hydrates na yan ay libong metro sa ilalim ng dagat. Kaya importante po ang technology dyan. Actually, ang mga Asians po ang may technology dyan. That means China, Japan, and I think South Korea is developing the same technology. Kasi tayo ang merong ganitong mga malalim na lugar na may methane hydrates sa Asia. So, 4 items na good news, and we'll go to the lady maestra first. Kaana, what are your reactions to these things?
Okay, dun sa build project, actually yun yung topic namin sa aming kantomento, which is lalabas po. Ang nakita po namin nung dinidiscuss namin yung issue is ang daming ng projects na actually hindi hindi na ilalabas ng media. Like for example, yung Pantaleon Bridge, at saka hindi lang yan even outside of Metro Manila, ang dami. And most of it or some of it are being funded from funding from China. At the same time, may mga donation din, hindi lang loan, may donations din. And of course, other countries as well, they have invested. Saka yung din po, yung subway natin, on the way na po. So, for the first time in history ata po na magkakasubway ang Pilipinas, no?
Yes.
Oo. Tapos on the other hand, dun po sa tawag nito, dun sa methane, no? Ang iniisip ko lang, sa South China Sea, totoo naman na maraming resources ang nandun, no? Sa vast ng South China Sea. It's not only the fish, the marine resources, mayroon ka ring gas. Kaya lang, ang tanong lagi dyan, pagdating like, for example, from the Philippine side, is sabi nga ni Kado nung isang episode natin, ano bang gagawin mo dyan? Titignan mo na lang ba ang resources? Of course, you need funding, you need financing. So ibig sabihin, you need to cooperate with other countries like China na mayroon silang capital and technology to actually ponduhan ka para magkaroon kayo ng joint exploration at lahat naman ay napapag-usapan. Katulad ng sinasabi nating joint exploration sa oil and gas, di ba? Hanggang ngayon pinag-uusapan pa, pero at least nag-uusap. Kasi yung mga joint ventures na yan, ano po ang kahalagahan dyan? Kasi iniisip ko, ano ba kahalagahan ng joint ventures? Mahalaga po yan dahil doon din sa joint venture na yan, since mayroon kayong communication lagi, nag-uusap lagi, nadi-develop din yung tinatawag ng resolution actually ng conflict at differences ng bawat bansa, especially like for example, Philippines and China. Kasi nag-uusap kayo constantly. So, open ang communication in a way na pa-facilitate din yung understanding. So, importante yun. Actually, it's one of the avenues by which conflict and dispute can be resolved, no? At a very low level, hindi nasa state level, pero nasa business level or people-to-people level pa. So, yun po yung importansya doon na dapat ang Pilipinas magkaroon ng focus. Kasi yung South China Sea, yung sinasabi nga, it should be treated as a shared area by which everyone concerned ay mag-benefit. Hindi mag-away-away na magkagera tayo. Hindi ganon. Not our national interest. Kailangan natin humanap ng way na mag-benefit tayo dyan na walang gulo, walang gera. Ganon yun dapat.
Okay, so Maestro, ikaw naman.
Ay, ako'y pagod na. Pero habang nakikita ko itong mga bagong mga kalye, no? Katulad nito sa Davao.
Opo.
Can you imagine? This used to be a two-way highway. Eh ngayon two lanes on both lanes. Four lanes ito. Ang ganda-ganda. Ano ba ito? Ang iniisip ko lang, baka mapikon ng people sa mga tao sa China, mga Chinese, dahil reklamo tayo ng reklamo wala naman tayo Mabuti kung meron tayong dapat ireklamo, wala naman. Kaya nasabi ko sa isang article na sinusulat ko, miski magkaroon ng code of conduct niya sa South China Sea, mga kabansa, kung ang tingin pa rin ng mga xenophobes at saka ng mga bigots, yung po mga racist yan, at dito sa ating bansa, sa bagay, konti lang naman sila, no? Pero nandun sila sa mga powerful positions. They control big corporations, multinational. Ang iba sa kanila are in the Forbes list of the world's richest men and women. Kaya hindi ho pwedeng isang tabi lamang. We really have to meet these people head on with the truth. So, sa kanilang fake news, sa palaban natin katotohanan. And para sa akin, itong nangyayari sa Benham na ito, flammable ice, China for commercial extraction by 2030. Ito po, iba ito sa sitwasyon doon sa 60-40 deal ng China doon sa racetrack sa Spratly Island. Kasi doon, wala tayong exclusive economic zone. But so far as that resource is concerned, China is willing to cooperate with us. So through bilateral negotiations and diplomacy, we are able to move forward with that deal. But here, in the Benham Rise, or what we call now the Philippine Rise, no, tayo ho ang may exclusive economic zone over that area, which is even larger than the entire island of Luzon, to the right of the Philippines, east of the Philippines. No? Ang pinakamababaw po, lahat po yan ay underwater pa eh. Pero ang pinakamababaw na lugar po dyan is 35 meters pa po. No? 35 meters pa po ang lalim. Pero para lamang buntot yun na umuusbong na gano'n. Hindi ho malaking island yun na umaakyat na ganyan. Kasi ang pag-usbong, yung munang gano'n eh. Ha? Yun muna umaakyat. 35, 3 fathoms pa po eh. Ha? Mga kabasa, malayo pa. But, when we applied for the Benham Rise, ito, explain ko na. During the time of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, nag-apply tayo for EEZ. Tinanong ni Harry Roque si Gloria Macapagal, Mrs. President, bakit hindi na natin isama itong mga EEZ claims natin sa South China Sea at sa Scarborough Shoal? Ang sagot sa kanya ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo is, hindi tumatanggap ang UN. Pero sabi ni Harry Roque, no, who is an expert, by the way, kung meron kayong problema sa South China Sea, in terms of international law, tanungin niyo si Harry Roque. He's the best person there available. No? Ang sabi sa kanya ni Harry Roque, Ma'am, nevertheless, even just for the sake of filing, alam naman natin hindi ipoproseso, hindi maaprubahan. But just for record, alam mo, ito sinasabi ko eh. May theory, may praxis. May theory, may practice. Sinasabi natin, we have an independent foreign policy in theory. Pero the whole world is not interested in that because that is only a matter of words. Salita. We define our theory in terms of practice. What we do. Kung sino mga mekaniko natin dyan. In this case, ang lumalabas na mekaniko as of now is Secretary Locsin and Lorenzana. And they are not doing things on the basis of matter of principle, pero meron silang kinakamot sa likod dito eh. Huh? They're scratching the back of a political power, of foreign power.
Okay,
Kado. We have to be very discerning about this because it could be dangerous. No?
Okay, Kado. It's actually 7 o'clock, no? And babati lang tayo sa ilang sa ating mga taga-subaybay sa mga diskusyon natin. Napakarami po ito, but let me just greet some of them. Nabanggit na natin si Juliet Camaro, Jolito Arderes is with us. Onyok Yamoro, era po ang tawag natin kay Onyok. Nagsundalo po ito. I don't know if he's still active in the military. Kinakamusta tayo. Si Darius Lucero, ay nandito. Imelda Galve from South Korea. I hope Imelda can get your book one day, Kaado. Susan Rosales from Japan. We would like to send you the books. If you can log in early next time, the first one or two will be getting the book of Kaado wherever you are in the world. Si Willie Tang, kasama natin. Evaristo Lim, and sabi niya, mRNA vaccines are the most dangerous. Si Nards Tulin, kasama natin. Thank you for your continuous analysis. Okay. Maria Lourdes Malyari, tama ba? Okay, sorry late siya. next time, try to be the first so you can get the book of Kado. But you have so much time in the future to try to be the first. No? And then tumalon. Let me see. Si Carlo Morales is with us. Good evening. Hindi po dapat pinagkakatiwalaan ng CIA National Endowment for Democracy. And then si La Cuesta, Narda, Ding La Cuesta, ni Ding La Cuesta, no? And ingat daw to everyone. Bederio Candido Joselito from Jeddah, KSA. And here on the other side, Arnel Batang. Let me see, parang may nalaktawan tayo. Arnel Batang, na bumabate. Ngibit Kuting, ang ganda po ng fake news segment nyo, nalalaman ang tunay na nangyayari. Salamat din na Kuting natin, ano? Si Ngibit Kuting. Paulo Pineda, mga maestro, yung mga dilawan at pulaan nagre-reklamo sa pondo ng BBB, dapat ilipat na lang daw sa pagbigay pagkain. Ay talagang short term lang po ang iniisip nila at saka propaganda lang. Rain cloud, deuterium and fuel of the future at mayroon tayong unlimited reserve sa Philippine D. Alam niya, no? So Ayumi, ano masabi nila? Masabi nila Kaana at Kaado, binibintang ni Blinken yung pandemya sa China. Bumabalik doon sa mga pinagsasabi nila.
Oo, may bago kasi.
Wala talaga itong mga to. Yung mahal dikain yung mga xenophobes na artista, media men, pro-NPA at dilawan na nagpapalala ng away sa South China Sea. Ang una pang nagpaturok ng Sinovac. From Moods Caribbean, watching from UAE, stay safe po lahat. Okay. So Kaado and Kaana, we'll go back to our discussion this time dito naman sa mga opinion at komentaryo at analysis ng mga kasama po natin sa media na tapat po sa tungkulin nila para sa katotohanan. Ano po ito? First, yung iyong article, Kaana, ano? Yes. Sa ASEAN Post, anong pamagat nito? Nandito po sa atin, ito. Surging COVID, what is the Philippines doing? The ASEAN Post. Of course, napapag-usapan natin sa ang ASEAN Post, Kaana, no? Mula nung natuklasan ng mga kabilang kubol na nandidiyan ka at marami kang sinusulat na totoo, biglang pumasok si Richard Haydarian, pumasok yung mga anti-China na reports, ano. So
anti-Duterte even.
Anti-Duterte reports. Kita natin talagang binabantayan tayong mga tagapaghatid ng buong katotohanan para kanilang mapigilan ang pagkalat po ng buong storya dito sa mga ito. Pero yan ang maganda sa totoo eh. Ano parang yung, shall I say, call it a suklob, no? Na ang dilim sa loob, mabutasan mo lang, maturukan mo lang, papasok ang sinag, no? Is that a good word for it?
Yung ilaw.
Yung ilaw, makikita eh. And yan ang nangyari sa iyo, nakita. Gusto na nila takpan. Ano yung sinag na yon? Ano? Kaana, your brief comment on your article.
Okay. Kasi may interesting point yan, no? Yung lumabas na Hidarian article was actually ang purpose ata nun, from what I can sense, no, na-analyze ko lang, is actually to discredit China in terms of its vaccine provision sa buong mundo. Yun yung gusto niyang ipalabas doon. So ako, ang ginawa ko, hindi ko yun style yung babanggain ng diretso. No, it's not my style. I really don't like that kind of, kasi for me, okay, let's talk about facts. So dun sa article ko, actually, the first part of the article was trying to explain na ang Pilipinas may ginagawa pagdating sa COVID-19 surges. At in-enumerate ko doon, tignan niyo po, basahin niyo po yung article. Nasa wall ko din po, tignan niyo. Pero dun sa second part ng article, ini-emphasize ko na there is such a thing as vaccine nationalism and hoarding talaga na nangyayari sa buong mundo. At ang nag-hoard ay ilang few rich countries. And some of it are actually, you have UK, you have Canada there, And you have the US. And even yun sila, no? Tapos, pero dapat kasi ang tinatawag mong vaccine, dapat ang treatment natin dyan is global public good. Sino ang mga leaders before na nagsabi niyan? Actually, there are two, no? Naaalala ko. It was si Chinese President Xi Jinping, and even Duterte was actually asking sa UN dun sa last na virtual meeting, asking na dapat maging public good yan. But it was actually President Xi Jinping na nagsabi na we will try to treat it as a public good. So dun sa article, nilutang ko kasi totoo naman. Like for example, no? As a public good, 2 countries lang ang masugid na nagbibigay ng vaccine sa third world countries at least developed countries. It's India and actually China. But the problem with India, na-stress ang production. Bakit? Dahil nasa vaccine nationalism. Hindi sila makapag-produce ng maraming AstraZeneca and other Novavax precisely because nagkakaroon ng supply impediments ng kanilang mga raw materials na
Kasi
nanggagaling
yung
sa US.
maraming supply nila, inaasa nila sa US din, di ba?
Oo, kasi ang kanilang raw materials din, nanggagaling yung ibang raw materials to produce the vaccine sa US. Kasi ganoon ang dati. So ngayon, nakaka-stress kasi hindi naman fluid ang flow ng raw materials. May disruption. So ang problema ng India, hindi na siya makapag-produce ng marami to share to other countries. Kasi take note, ang India, may 1.3 billion population yan na kailangan din nilang tutukan. Siyempre, magbabalanse siya. So, sino ngayon ang country na nag-iisa na actually trying its best to help other countries, especially the developing and least developed countries? And this is not about pro-China anything. This is facts. Kasi there are numbers that would really signify that. 80 countries and 3 international organizations ang sinusuplayan. Ano ang 3 organization na yon? Just for people to know, no? WHO COVAX facility. Noon hindi sila kasama, pero ngayon dahil kailangan ng COVAX ng additional na may bibigay, nagbigay ang China ng 10 million na initial commitment. Tapos you have United Nations Peacekeeping Forces. Ito yung mga forces na nasa mga very failed state, no? So kailangan nilang vaccine. Wala namang sa kanila kasi failed states na. So kailangan nila. So ang China nagbigay ng donation dyan. African Union. Why is African Union very important? Because in Africa, karamihan ng least developed countries ay nandun. So nandun, tumutulong sila. Not only that, in terms of cooperation na pag-produce ng vaccine, China is also engaging. You have 10 nations na may engagement sila in terms of vaccine research, development, and production. And these are Indonesia, Malaysia, these are ASEAN countries. You have Brazil, you have Turkey, Pakistan, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Chile, Hungary, and Serbia. So this is tawag nito, joint ventures, no? And then 40 countries sila nag-export. Iba yung donation, iba yung export, ha? Pag donation, libre. Pag export, may bayad. May 40 countries kasama tayo dyan. And take note, kung hindi pa dahil sa Sinovac, I don't think our vaccine national program will kick off. No? Kasi ito lang yung consistent nating vaccine. Actually, lahat under negotiation. Sometimes wala dahil nagkakaproblema. Pero ito lang yung consistent. So at least naman ma-recognize yan. No? It's a fact. It's not something invented. It is a fact and it has figures. No one can argue with facts, I think. No? And it cannot be spinned off. And ito yung pinaka-importante sa article. About 33% of all vaccine doses in the world and exported, about 62% of its doses, ito China. China accounts for 33% of all vaccines doses in the world and exported about 62%. Though may 1.4 billion population sila na kailangan i-inoculate. While US, aside from buying vaccines all over the world, accounts for 27% of world production of vaccine. Okay? But exported 0 out of its territory. Tinanong itong si ating vaccine czar, si Secretary Galvez, anong country thus far ang nag-donate na ng vaccine sa Pilipinas aside from China? A country, not UN, country, nada. Pero mayroon WHO through COVAX facility na nagdo-donate sa atin yung AstraZeneca. But that is UN. That is not a country only. UN is composed of many countries. So that's the reality, folks, no? So let's not be blinded by the media propaganda agitation. Let's be more focused on the facts, kung ano yung totoo. Kasi mahirap yung blinded ka, hindi ka magkakaroon ng informed opinion or perspective. So, yun yung po, yung sinasabi ng article. Please, basahin nyo kung may oras po kayo.
Kaana, what's your next article naman for Sovereign PH? Meron ka na
Yung
bang
article ko naman sa Sovereign PH, medyo sensitive kasi kaya inaayos ko. Kasi ito may kinalaman dun sa agitation propaganda, may kinalaman din siya sa MDT, BFA. At the same time, may research akong ginagawa on what the Western powers are doing militarily in the South China Sea. I have a report that I took. Kaya lang, kailangan ko siyang ilagay lahat, pati yung issue ng South China Sea, and then put it together and send it to our maestro, Kaado.
Yes.
Kasi
Of course,
sa kanya yung...
the next item is my column, my article, which I will explain. I will not dwell too much on this kasi you can read it at Sovereign PH. Marami pa tayong ibang mga commentaries na gustong review. Pero unang-una, Kaado, is that cartoon, the Philippine Fleet of Diplomatic Protest, gawa ba yan ni Steven Pabalinas?
Hindi. Yung nasa ilalim ang gawa niya.
Okay. Kanino galing yan? Maganda din yan,
Wala itong I think this is a house cartoon made by Manila Times.
Hindi, kung ganyan, kay Steven Pabalinas din yan. Talagay ko. Okay, anyway, maganda yan. Philippines Fleet of Diplomatic Protest. Parang aking minographing machine of diplomatic protest, no? And saving lives versus saber rattling. Ang unang pamagat po nito, saving lives versus, ano ba yun? Kalimutan ko na. Si Kaado ang naglagay ng saber rattling at napakaganda kasi may parang poetic rhyme pa yung saving and saber, ano? So, anyway, I will not dwell on it. It is now viewed by over 10,000, basta tens of thousands na, and 2,000 engagement, meaning binasa and so on. And we think this will grow over the next few days pa. Ano? Our next commentary...
May dadagdag lang ako, Mentong. Yung article na na-publish sa China, sa CNN Post, it was a subliminally debunking what Hidarian have been said na dinidiscredit niya ang China. It was actually that, no? But it was not only that, of course, but in a way subliminally debunking his argument. No?
Okay, the next one is very important also. This is from Dan Steinbach ng Manila Times, ano? And itong mahaba itong article at very important kasi binubulgan niya yung American links nitong operation na to na tungkol sa 220 maritime militia daw ng China. Ano? The high-profile Reef debacle, Whitson Reef, is not the first time that most of its central characters, media, think tank like yung kay Albert de Rosario Foundation,
BDR.
Government representatives like Locsin, etc., Lorenzana, etc., and simularity. Now, ang i-contribute ko dito sa discussion ng simularity, which was also reported already by Bobby Tiglao, is that sa research ko, I already published this in my previous article sa Sovereign PH. Simularity is composed of retired CIA personnel. Yan, importante yan. Hindi nabanggit yan ni Steinbach nor ni Bobby Tiglao. But anyway, that happened 5 months ago. Nagtipon-tipon itong mga to. Saan? Last November 2020, the topic of the Filipinas Conference was the Philippines and the Indo-Pacific, sponsored by ex-Foreign Secretary Albert de Rosario, his think tank ADR, Albert de Rosario Foundation, and Bowers Group Asia, BGA. It held that the shifting balance of power and COVID-19 had, quote, created an opportunity for smaller to middle powers, read the Philippines, to play a more significant role in the region, unquote. Now, maraming mga detalye po dyan. I don't think we have the time to go through it one by one. But yung Bowers group na yan ay associated din with the CIA. Ano, Kaado might have more information on this. We'll get back to Kaado on this. Before that, let me just also go on to this next item, which is another very important item, na si Carpio bumanat kay Parlade, General Parlade. Sinasabi niya, why is Parlade saying that this arbitration decision is just a piece of paper? Sinasabi ni Carpio, kinokontra ni Parlade yung kanyang superiors daw, na sila Bascardo ba or what's the name of that AFP chief of staff na yun, starting with an S, Sobrehana, or si Lorenzana. I'm sure Ado would love to bring this up, no? But also, ang point ko rito sa post na to is bakit nagkakasundo si Carpio at si Sarate tungkol sa South China Sea, West Philippine Sea issue. Pareho ba silang bata ng kanok? Yes, to my mind. What are your views on this, no? And then, tuwan-tuwa din tayo dito sa komentaryo through cartoon ng ating kasamang si Steven Pabalinas. Ayan po, tinutulak ni Uncle Sam na nakakulay anino talaga si Juan de la Cruz tungo sa disputed waters at itinutulak na maibangga sa dragon ng China. So this is a commentary in a cartoon. Now, yung commentaries na naman si Sasco Rogando, sabi niya, nakita niya itong post ng Vietnam, BBC News, at sabi niya, we are appeasing Vietnam. A Vietnamese expert is using the South China Sea arbitration decision. Yung arbitration natin na panalo daw natin, Vietnam ang gumagamit, pero ayaw nila mag-file ng kaso. Bakit? Paano nila ginagamit? That the decision that the Philippines paid for to argue that Julian Reef or Julian Reef na tawag natin, Whitsun Reef sa English, no? Julian Reef that lies within the territorial sea of one of the features in the South China Sea that Vietnam occupies. In other words, sinasabi ng Vietnam, hindi nila iisi yan. Teritoryo nila yan. Pero gamit nila yung arbitration case natin na tayo gumastos ng 1 bilyong piso. Tingnan yung nangyari sa kalokohan nila Del Rosario. And so implication, Vietnam has a stronger claim than the Philippines, according to Vietnam. Justice Carpio, anong comment mo dyan? Tanong ni Sastrogando. And another one from Sastrogando, if I'm not mistaken, yes, actually, we have an appeasement policy toward Vietnam. Anong appeasement sa Tagalog? Ating sinusuyo, pinagbibigyan, anyway. And then, nalagay ko nga, na ang Malaysia naman, as from Straits Times, Malaysia strike, karapatan daw ng Malaysia, sabi ng Malaysian commentarista, to stake claims to the Spratlys kasi daw extension yan ng
continental shelf
ng Sabah. Ng Malaysia. Dahil sila daw ang may-ari ng Sabah. At let me see. Okay, the next one is already international news. So, marami akong pinagsama-sama para mapilian nyo kung gusto nyo, anong gusto nyo komentaryohan. Kaado mo na.
Dito sa column ni Dan Steinbaum, actually nagsimula ang dyan, nung si De Rosario ang ambassador to the US. Siyempre, una na si kaso ni ang instinct nito si De Rosario, pera, negosyo, no? So, yung Asia Society sa Washington DC at saka yung Philippine-American Chamber of Commerce, lagi niya minimiting yan. Nakakuha siya ngayon ng ideya. At doon niya sinimulan yung Albert De Rosario Institute. Actually, ang unang pangalan ng Albert de Rosario Institute, strat base, strategic base. No? Kaya ngayon, humaba na ng humaba ang pangalan ng Albert de Rosario Institute. Strat base Albert de Rosario Institute na siya. Yun yung kanyang think tank. Pero merong commercial component yan. In terms of, yung katulad ng ginagawa ko noon, nung matapos na ako sa employment ko sa Philippine Embassy as a diplomat, and as a government employee connected with the uh, Department of Foreign Affairs. Hindi na ako nag-renew, hindi na ako nagpa-appoint ulit. At I entered into international consultancy. So I was functioning as a one-man think tank between Manila and Washington, D.C. So, kung sino ako, yun ang ginawa niyang Bowers Group. Itong Bowers Group, malalim ho ito, malalim ha. At saka hindi nila itinatago ito. If you go to their website, nandyan lahat yan. Ha? So, sino ngayon ang Bowers Group Asia? Yan yung hahawak ng commercial and business opportunity, not just in Southeast Asia, but in East Asia. Connecting yung model na tinayo ko, yung Manila at saka Washington, D.C. At yan, hindi ako magtataka if one of these days lumabas na yan ang magbo-broker ng mga Pfizer at saka Moderna vaccines sa lahat ng mga buyers dito sa East Asia. Ano? So, yan na, bibigyan ko lang ng konting background. Now, when De Rosario became secretary, nagkaroon na mas malalaking ngipin niyan under Noynoy Aquino. At ang inilagay naman nila na ambassador doon ay si Joey Quisha. No? At ang pinalta ni Joey Quisha, of course, ang pumalit ni Joey Quisha, ito nga si Babes Romualdez. Iisa hong bituka lahat yan, konektado. Now, I will go to the next article I would like to comment on. Dahil ito si... Actually, I feel so proud about this, Mentong. Dahil itong column na sinasagot ni Antonio Carpio ay published sa Sovereign PH. It was published in the Sovereign PH, the column ni General Parlade. General Parlade is one of our occasional writers. No? He also writes for the Manila Times. So, ano ang akusasyon ni Carpio dito? Ang sabi ni Carpio, dahil pinalalabas ni Parlade na piece of paper lang ang arbitral award, do you notice, because the Permanent Court of Arbitration is not a court, he called the arbitral award a mere piece of paper that embodied a kangaroo ruling. Wala naman talaga epekto, no? So, tinawag niya si Parlade na giving comfort to the enemy. Well, sa lalabas kong column bukas, no? Ang opening statement ko is, I was not really keen at being distracted by Antonio Carpio's bigoted perceptions about China. Pero when he started slinging at Antonio Parlade, whom I consider today's Filipino folk hero next only to President Duterte, I said, no way this xenophobe or racist or bigot that is Carpio can have a safe passage. Because sabi ko, the more a liar writes, the more he records the footprints of his own wrongdoing. And kaya ako natutuwa, wala namang intention si Parlade to engage in a fishing expedition. Alam mo nangyari, Mentong? Ha? Ito
Ano
ang
nangyari?
sagot. Ito ang sagot ni Antonio Carpio kay Parlade. Ha? Doon sa kanyang sagot na pinablis sa Philippines Daily Inquirer. Dalawang issues daw ang minimit niya kay Carpio, kay Parlade. The first issue that the arbitration was filed in the wrong court was totally laughable, katawa-tawa daw, and was simply ignored by the Philippine team. Okay? And then he mentioned something, Article 281 sa UNCLOS, saying that there was compulsory procedures entailing binding decision, etc. Pero hindi raw nila minimension ang Permanent Court of Arbitration. Nowadays, Mentong, Kaana, you will notice na hindi na nila minimension ang Permanent Court of Arbitration. Sinasabi na lang nila arbitral ruling. Bakit? Dahil katakot-takot na bungol ang tinanggap nila sa akin dito in the last 2 years, because I have been debunking and demolishing the Permanent Court of Arbitration. You know what, Mentong? Ito ang sinabi ni Parlade. Sorry. Pareho kasi Antonio, nalilito ko. Ito ang sinabi ni Carpio sa article niya. I will quote and read slowly. As every international lawyer worth his attaché case knows, the PCA is not a court, but a registry that provides for a fee, a physical venue for hearings, as well as administrative and secretarial services to those wishing to hold an arbitration in any of the various offices of the PCA worldwide. Ang marami kasi hindi nakakaintindi, Mentong, is that the Permanent Court of Arbitration owns the Hague Palace sa The Hague, Netherlands. They own the building. At doon sa building na yon, umuupa lang ang International Court of Justice. No? Kaya ang misconception ng karamihan, basta sinabing The Hague, ibig sabihin na niyan automatically International Court of Justice. Now, ito ngayon ang problema ni Antonio Carpio. He put on record why? Because this is available to any internet surfer sa Wikipedia at sa mismong website ng Permanent Court of Arbitration na itong pinalalabas nila na korte ay by their own admission now, nadulas si Carpio, ay hindi court kundi registry. Isa lamang facility. Halimbawa, kung A and B gusto mag-engage in a private arbitration, they can use the facilities of the Permanent Court of Arbitration in the Hague Palace. The Peace Palace ang tawag nila. Ito maganda. Ito maganda, Mentong. This cannot be a simple case of Freudian slip. Yung nadulas ang dila. It cannot be a simple case of a senior moment. Dahil si Carpio ay septuagenarya na, kaedad ko ito eh. Kasama ko ito sa College Editors Guild. Contemporary ko ito, kaya kilala ko pati ang talukab ng paa nito eh. This cannot be a simple case of Freudian slip. This cannot be a simple case of a senior moment. This is a classic example of intellectual dishonesty. Ay, nako. Basahin nyo na lang ho, the rest,
Okay.
sa column ko bukas sa
Okay.
Sovereign PH.
We are waiting for it with bated breath.
Yes.
Yes, Ana, anything else dito sa mga
Yes.
items?
Ako naman, yung sa akin lang kasi, from the very start, no, sinubaybayan ko siya, pero hindi ako masyadong nagsasalita noon kasi 2012 to. Kababalik ko lang actually galing ibang bansa ng time na yon kasi I was based abroad. Pero kung titignan mo, if you put it in an international relations discourse, no? Kasi yun yung background ko, no? Ang earth exercise na ginawa ng Pinoy administration, I call it a futile and a very expensive earth exercise. Kasi bakit? Unang-una, if you look at the international system, ang realist perspective, even the other perspective, no, sa theory ng international relation, we look at it as an anarchic system. Pag sinabi mong anarchic system, there's no such entity or a body that is higher in authority that actually can impose or can police any state at all. So kung gano'n ang sitwasyon ng international body, ano man ang kahihinatnan ng tinatawag ng arbitral tribunal na yon, kung titignan mo tapos hindi pa nag-participate ang China, that will be a futile award. Why? Because no one will impose it at the end of the day. So kaya nga tinatawag ni Sir Parlade na paper siya. Kasi that is the reality talaga. No? Paper talaga siya. Kasi if you want to impose that, and then i-constrain mo ang China who was not even participating kasi ang gusto ng China that time was bilateral talks. No, they want to have bilateral talks. Pag-usap tayo. Huwag palabasin nyo dyan yung mga Western powers, especially US. Tayong mag-usap kasi tayo namang may problema. Ganun ang gusto nila Diba? Pero hindi Pinorso natin kasi that's the Western way. Diba? Pak. Yan ang Western way. So ang ginawa, nagkaroon ka ng tribunal. Pero ang tanong, if you impose the tribunal, kasi wala naman talaga sa international stage anong ibig sabihin nun? That would mean war with China. At sino ang gagawa nun? Do we really want to have that with, wala. Diba? So, yun yung reality po, no? Kahit sinong international relation expert ang tanungin nyo, that's the reality. Yun yung totoo at yun yung realidad. So, we have an award that cannot be implemented. So, what's the point of doing it in the very first place? Kasi kung sino man ang international relation expert noon, dapat alam nila yun kasi they know that. That's a basic concept in international relation. Kaya why ang Vietnam hindi nagtuloy? Why other Southeast Asian countries did not do that? Precisely because they know that at the very end, na ganun talaga. So why would you do that when you spend so much money, nagkaroon ka pa ng hindi magandang relasyon with China? Kung sa anong time na yon, nagkaroon tayo ng problema Kasi yung people-to-people, state-by-state relation natin, nag-shut down. Kung hindi pa dumating si Duterte, wala. Well, we don't have good relation with China. Which is, we need that.
Wala tayong vaccine.
Actually, ang importante po nilang maintindihan, we need to have a good relation with a superpower, with a strong power in our region. Kasi ang pinakamalapit po sa atin is China. America is on the other side of the Pacific. In an international relation, if you are a realist, the first thing that you have to be concerned about is good relation with your neighbor na nasa region before the outer countries na outside of the region. Kasi yun yung proximity malapit. Kapag pragmatist ka, and very realist ang perspective mo, kasi doon ka makikipag, sila ang nasa, sila ang nandyan forever na katabi mo. So you have to establish good relation. Forever yan
Forever, yun ang importanteng salita mo.
China, malilipat ba yan sa ibang kontinente? No, of course not. It's there. So you have to have good relations. With your neighbors. Yun yung point ko lang. As a realist, kasi realist ako as an international relations enthusiast, and a scholar in some way. I am a realist, I'm very pragmatic when I look at political stuff and geopolitics po. I don't fantasize,
There is no other way kasi real politics itong pinag-uusapan natin dito.
Yes.
Hindi ito whims and caprices of oligarchs, of political brokers international. Sabi ito, dito sa article na mababasa mo bukas, Nilagay ko yung transcript ng forum. Ni Melo Aconya, tumawag daw siya sa'yo kahapon. Ha? Yung kay Rosario Manalo, sa next telecast natin, 4 minutes lang naman yon, 3 to 4 minutes, i-play natin in full. No? Kay Ambassador Rosario Manalo. Parang matauhan na talaga ito mga supot na ito. May balat, supot naman. Paano na yan?
Okay. Okay,
So,
sige.
sorry. Medyo nadulas ang dila ko. Project sleep.
Ihanda natin yung kay Ambassador Manalo for our next session. Okay, si Florence Eknerol, tinatanong si Maestra Ana kung pwede ba siya magturo sa university. Nagturo po sa De La Salle University.
Oh. I taught in De La Salle University, in UP, different campuses pa, and in Asia and the Pacific University,
Okay.
the Philippine Women
And
University.
then si Francis
Pero ngayon,
Gutierrez, scrap
ano
BFA
muna?
daw. Sabi ni Francis Gutierrez, scrap BFA, NDT, EDCA, PCA, and non-NATO allies in Asia. Jamin Meiji is with us. Good evening daw. And today, sabi niya, a real Filipino daw is love America. Hates China. Yan daw ang real Filipino. How can we expect to be good?
Mentong, sinimulan na ni Blinken tawagin yung China virus, Wuhan virus.
Talaga?
PCP virus.
Oo, nabasa ko po. Oo.
Communist Party of China virus.
Wala na talagang creativity itong American state leaders, no? Okay,
OMG! They need to have your book. They need to have your book. We need to send them your book.
Okay. Sabi ni Jamin, how can we expect to be good in international relations if we have lots of puppet amboys? Philippines is low in IQ and many of us are reckless in family planning. But anyway, I think
we are... Tanong kita, nagustuhan mo ba yung karton ng mga paper boats?
You're asking who? Me?
Oh, dyan sa column, yung nilagay ko ng mga paper boats.
I like it very much. Oh. But
gustuhan mo yung karton na nilagay ko sa article ko. Surprise, surprise!
Okay. And i-request ko si Steven Pabalinas na gumawa din ng isang nagmi-mimeograph si Locsin ng diplomatic protest. No? Lumilipad ang mga diplomatic protest na walang tigil. Okay, dito sa kabila si Astro Ayumi is with us, Mahal Kain, Mods Kerubin, Ion Don Bueno, Quincy, bagong Quincy. Bakit po kaya hindi masyadong naapektuhan ng COVID ang Yemen? Samantalang mas worse pa sila compared sa bansa natin. Magandang tanong yan. I-research po natin yan. Alexander Versosa, mabuhay kayo at maraming salamat sa mga updated info from Roseville, California. Pablo Avellana, Mentong, asahan nyo na yung araw-araw na fake news, malapit na eleksyon. That's correct. Lonely Boy 16, Darius Rosero, Medelita Kobayashi is with us. Let me just look for my cursor. Okay, nandito na. Archie Cruz, Argelia Soselito, Salvador David, masarap makinig ng totoong balita pag ganitong sinasabi, hindi haka-haka at kuro-kuro lang. Arnold Hoson, UAE, we are your regular audiences that support our government initiative towards a better tomorrow. Mabuhay ka, Arnold. Eusebio Rufo, sir, tanong po, bakit nung panahon nila di na pag-uusapan yan? Tama na po, pinapasikat nyo lang sila. Thank you po. Okay. RAM 820, the US has suspended inoculation of J&J, Johnson & Johnson vaccines due to the issue of blood clotting. Noli Rojas, ang reality is we became very weak militarily and economically after Marcos, kaya we're bullying. Arnel Batang, tama si Ana, Noli Rojas were bullied by every country in the world. Jacqueline Tajano, God bless you all po and thank you. Kay Boy Roy, magaling na orator si Kaado. Natigil ako nung nag-explain siya. Kaado, our Horatio. Okay, let's move on to the next news items na. International na po tayo. Okay, yung American alliances ay maraming nagsasabi, Amerika at India magkasama, hindi po. Hindi po ganyan kasimple yan, komplikado po yan dahil nagkagalit lang po sila tungkol dito sa Indian Ocean. In a rare show, India protests US Navy's ship transit through its waters. Dumadaan po sa EEZ na kiniklaim ng India, EEZ ng India, na dito sa Pilipinas, ginagawa din po yan ng Amerikano, wala tayong imig, pero pag dumadaan sa EEZ ng China o ng Taiwan at iba pa, hindi Taiwan, China, ngayon India, pinoprotesta yan ng mga bansa kasi nga pwede tahimik sila pagka merchant ship, meaning yung hindi warship. Warship Pero ano sabi ng China, by the way, galing sa post mo ito, kinuha ko. And so, ano sagot ng Amerika? Sabi ng Amerika, ay karapatan namin dumaan dito. At sabi ng Indian punchline, si Badra Kumar, who I respect very much, an Indian writer and statesman po and dating ambassador, sabi niya, make no mistake, what happened is the military equivalent of what the great American diplomat scholar George Kennan once wrote about the oil reserves in the Persian Gulf. They are, in quote, our resources, unquote, he wrote, integral to America's prosperity and therefore the US should take control of them. Yan po ang totoong attitude ng Amerika. Kaya po nilalayag ang kanilang warship. Yan po ay signal na amin ito. Sooner or later, we're going to take over. Yan ang hindi siguro naintindihan nila Locsin, Lorenzana, Dave Romualdez, or alam na alam nila kasi colonial mentality sila. So that's the Indian Ocean issue. So let's go back to the vaccine. Sabi ng Indonesia, it's April 13 lang, 2 days ago, Indonesia satisfied with effectiveness of Chinese COVID-19. And ito po si Siti Nadia Tarmizi, a spokesperson for Indonesia's COVID-19 vaccine program, said the World Health Organization had found the Chinese vaccine had met requirements by being more than 50% effective. He noted that clinical trials for Sinovac vaccine in Indonesia showed it was 65% effective. So iba-iba pero it's really more than 50%. Okay, and ito malaking issue dapat ating dapat i-drum up. Naghahanda ang Japan na ibuhos po yung bilyong toneladang tubig galing sa Fukushima disaster po nila. Nuclear waste po yan na kanilang tatapon sa dagat. Ang sagot ng China po ay bawal yan, hindi dapat gawin yan. We have some details for you. At ito'y ulat ng CGTN, China Government Television Network. Key facts to know about Japan's nuclear wastewater dump. Anong importante? Pinili ko yan sa mga 100. The Tokyo Electric Power Company, which runs the planet, had tried to find a way to filter the tritium, but failed because most contemporary technology can't work when tritium is in low concentration. Tritium is a radioactive element. They can release the water into the sea or evaporate it into the air. Parang yung problema natin yan. The other option is to build more tanks to store the water on land or underground. It will take close to 60 years for the tritium to lose most of its radioactivity. So bakit hindi nila gawin yung huli? The safest, i-store sa land, 60 years lang, man-neutralize na yung radioactivity ng tritium. Bakit gusto nilang ibuhos? Gastos. Paano ang buhay ng mga aquatic resources ng mundo? Di ba? It is simply unjustified for them to pour it into the sea. So we will go back to that to get your analysis. And I think we have this final item, but I will add another one. No? Pero the final item here, Iran to start 60% uranium enrichment Wednesday. Today din. Nila sinisipunan ng 60% uranium enrichment. I think nuclear weapons grade uranium is 90%. I'm not an expert, no. I tried to research, naubusan ako ng oras. So palapit sa nuclear weapons grade ang Iran kasi nga dalawang bagay. Una-una, yung ginawa ni Trump na binitawan, iniwanan na lang basta yung kasunduan nila na hindi na magsasanksyon kapalit ng pagtigil ng uranium enrichment to more than 20%, no, ng Iran. Nung tinalikuran ni Trump, tinaas na ng Iran yung kanilang uranium enrichment. Bakit issue ito? Para doon sa mga newcomers, ang mga neophytes sa issue ng Iran nuclear development. Kasi kung may nuclear weapons na ang Iran, wala nang magagawa ang US at Israel laban sa Iran. Kasi ang Israel may 200 to 300 nuclear weapons na ang panakot niya sa buong Arab world. Kaya ay kaliit-liit ng Israel, 5-6 million people, hindi malusob ng daang-daang milyong mga Arabo na Muslim. Bakit? Kasi may nuclear weapons yan. Yung Iran may kapasidad na gumawa ng nuclear weapons with 75 million population. Kung walang nuclear weapons ang Israel, lulunurin lang ng tao ng Iran ang Israel. Pero may binigyan ng US at Britannia ng nuclear weapons ang Israel para ma-destabilize yung buong Middle East. So yan ang geopolitics dyan. Ang Iran naman, walang interest na makipag-away na 500 taon nang wala po. Ay si Kaado, katatapos lang nung resurrection. Yung how many series? 100 ba? Na history ng Ottoman Empire, no?
Yeah.
Alam.
More than 200 episodes.
Okay. So, master na ni Kaado ang history niyan. Pero the last 500 years, wala na pong away ang Persia or Iran sa iba. Kasi established civilization siya. Pero dumating ang mga puti, gustong kontrolin ng Middle East. At yung isang paraan yung Israel ay tinayo nila. So, long story yan. But the final report today, kung wala nga akong oras na ilagay sa ating lineup ng news, ano yon? Nag-anunsyo na itong Abril 14, si President Joe Biden ng Estados Unidos na aalis na sila ng Afghanistan. At ang deadline ay September itong taon. Wala nang isang single American soldier ang maiiwan sa Afghanistan. Pero anong kahulugan po sa mga amboy sa Afghanistan? Bahala kayo sa buhay nyo. Uubusin kayo ng mga Taliban, bibitayin kayo, firing squad kayo, aalis na kaming mga Amerikano. Yan din ang mangyayari sa mga amboys dito sa Pilipinas. Ikaw, Richard Hendarian, magbago ka na. Kayong mga amboys, magbago na rin kayo dito. Hindi nakakalimutan ng bansang Pilipinas yung pagyurak ng mga Amerikano dito sa mga revolutionary Filipinos at the turn of the century, 1910 and onwards. Anyway, yun ang buong lineup po for this last segment sa international geopolitical situation. So I'll give the privilege to the lady maestra. Ana, please, which one are you going to dwell on here with your analysis?
Very quick lang po, yung sa Indian Ocean ng India, ang masasabi ko lang doon is ganito. Kakampi na nga dapat kasi sa Quad, tinatalo pa Yun tinatalo kakampi na nga ng US ang India. Tapos yung sa radioactive waste, very important po yan na actually maging aware tayo. Kasi ang radioactive waste, kapag nilatag mo yan sa tubig, in 55 days, nagkakaroon na yan ng effect. At hindi lang yung mamamatay dyan is marine. Tao mamamatay, magkakaroon ka ng cancer. Pag nag-evaporate yan sa taas, pabababa yan as acid rain. So yan yung danger niyan. No? Kaya kailangan natin maging aware dyan at vigilant.
At saka
Pagdating na
mag-protest ka, di ba? Dapat we should have our voice heard, hindi lang China. We should
hindi
join
nga
the
ni-report
protest. Oo.
Wala kang report dito sa local na may nangyaring ganun eh. Tapos, i-ring yun doon. Yung sa geopolitics dyan is very interesting. Dapat one of these days i-discuss po natin yan. Why? Because ang ang Iran kapag nagkaroon ng nuclear weapon, it's a deterrent for them, no? They will not be attacked by even the US. But at the same time, very important din yung tignan na hindi na paano po posisyon diyan ng US given na China and Iran are BBF right now. Yun.
Yeah.
May diyan, very interesting yan. So one of these days dapat i-discuss din natin yan. So far, yun lang po.
Ang iladagdag ko lang dyan sa Iran-US tiff na yan, at saka pag lumapit ng Iran doon sa kapasidad ng mga nuclear weapons, parang North Korea, meron ng nuclear weapons ang North Korea, aabot na ng US. Darating na ang panahon na ang US ay magsasalita. Okay, mag-uusap na tayo lahat. Itigil na lahat ng mga nuclear weapons. Isang tabi na yan. Pagka hindi pa umabot ang Iran doon, meron pang natatagong US at yung mga allies niya. So yung parity ng nuclear weapons capability, I think is what will lead to the final stage of peace and goodwill to all men. Anyway, Kaado naman.
Nakakalimutan ng Amerika na more than 2,000 years civilization ng China. Ang Amerika, ilan ba? Wala pa yata 300 years.
5,000 years ang China.
Papunta pa lang sila, pabalik ng China. O pabalik sila, pupuntahan naman ng China.
Umikot na.
What do I mean? Pag chinart mo yung New Silk Road, yung Belt and Road Initiative, both from the land base to the maritime route, saan papunta? Westward.
Yes.
At ang dulo niyan, lalampas ng Russia, tagos, hanggang doon sa dulo. Ha? Kaya nga, importante ang ang mga Uyghurs dito sa ating pinag-aaralan, mga kabansa, mga Turkmen. Dahil panuorin ninyo ang Ertugrul, The Resurrection sa Netflix. Maintindihan ninyo. Pero kailangan tumagal kayo ng 5 seasons and almost 300 episodes. Bakit? Paalis ang US sa Afghanistan, pupunta ang China doon. Ililiberate ng China sa dulo. Afghanistan, yung tapos na sila sa sa mga Uyghurs. Dahil naayos na nila yung territory nila, yung pangalan, Xinjiang. Tapos na. Mga katabi po niyan, mga kabansa,
Central Asia.
Kaya maghintay lang kayo mga Taliban, mawawala ng poverty dyan. At sa ilalim niyan, pababa, Iraq and Iran.
Yes.
So, China is going that way economically, but before that, it had to solve its soft belly. Itong South China Sea is facing China's soft belly, which has been the subject of about 475 foreign invasions in the past. So, inuna muna niya by its policy of active defense, kaya naglagay na finally, hindi kayo makuha sa diplomacy. O sige, maglalagay na ako ng 8 to 9 islands dyan. Para yan na magiging immovable aircraft carriers ko. Okay? Ngayon, tapos na rin yan. Pag ano na. Ngayon, ito naman sinasabi ko sa Pilipinas. Ano naman ang preparasyon ng Pilipinas para tayong makasawsaw dito sa lahat ng dadaanan ng Belt and Road Initiative papunta sa West? Noong 1400, sumali tayo dyan. Sinama tayo ni Emperor Yongle. Kausap niya si Sultan Paduka Batara. And they had a partnership sealed by a treaty of tributary independent states. 1405. Sinirmahan. So kasama tayo doon sa progress. Kaya nung pumunta ako sa Shandong, kakamot ako ng ulo ko. Sabi ko, my God, ang liit-liit ng Pilipinas. Yung sultanato nakapag-launch ng 314 ships in a foreign mission, state visit to Beijing. Paduka Batara, before, alam niya mamamatay na siya, kaya makita niya muna yung kumpare niya. Si Pale. Kala kita ko si Pale ko sa Beijing, ha? O, pumunta sa Beijing. Yung nga na namatay, pabalik. Nilibing sa Shandong. But we were part of that. The Philippines was the East Kingdom. Yes. Huh? We were the navel of civilization in our part of the globe. Kasali tayo. Pero ngayon, Duterte, anong ginagawa mo? Nagpapadistract ka niya sa mga hayupak na si Carpio, si Del Rosario, si Heydarian, si J. Batong Bakal. Ha? Yung mga yan. Walang ginawa kundi kutkutin ang puwit mo at kamutin ng ano, yung sundutin na sundutin. React ka naman ang react. Oh.
Okay.
Anong gagawin natin? Bakit hindi tayo kasali rito? Anong produkto natin na pwedeng isakay sa Belt and Road Initiative papunta sa West? Wala!
Okay.
Wala namang preparasyon.
Alas 8 na.
Maiiwan tayo ng biyahe.
Alas 8 na at
ng caravan, may iwan tayo ng caravan.
Ating i-reserve po ang energy ni Kado para sa unang column niya bukas na lalabas about these issues. And alas 8 na po, no? May reminder dito kay Josh. Sabi, join the GTNR fan club. May link po na ilagay naman ni Kado, ni Ka Joshua, ano? May fans club po na tinayo si Ka Joshua para doon magkontakan ng mga tao. At yung mga nananalo ng premyo na libro, doon din po kayo maglagay ng address nyo na mapadala natin yung mga libro. Ano? Si Jacqueline Trajano is with us. Si Pepe Malonzo, good evening. Kaana, Kaado, Mentong, and ito magandang sinabi ni Mahar Mikhail, pag lumala ang conflict sa South China Sea, yan pong si Amboy Heydarian, mukha di ring makakabalik ng Iran. Bawal po ata ang LGBT doon. Magagalit ang Ayatollah. Okay. Well, paalam na po tayo. Kaana, and then Kaano. Your privilege first, Kaana.
Maraming salamat po sa ating mga kabansa sa pagsubaybay po ng Power Things. Always po tayong subaybayan ito. Dalawa po yung programa na nala-livestream po ha. Sa Sunday, meron tayo sa Radyo Pilipinas, ang Maestro. Sali na ako doon. 8 to 10 po yun. So, huwag niyo kalilimutan. At saka every Wednesday, 6 to 8 o'clock. So, at the same time, doon naman sa One Media, sa cable naman yun. Opo. So, maraming salamat. Sana may natutunan kayo. We're trying our best na magbigay ng aming factual analysis. Thank you po.
Kado, our senior maestro.
Well, magpapaalam na po, but as always, you are in my heart. Assalamualaikum. Alay ko mo sa
Natapos nyo yung resurrection, hindi ko pa rin
Natapos ko.
umpisahan.
Ay, nandito na ako ngayon sa 11th episode ng Zin Alayan. Maganda rin pala ito. Sa China naman, in the 200 to 300 BCE. Oh. Alam
Okay.
nyo, kaya kami maestro, nag-aaral kami.
Oo,
Matanda
ako ngayon.
na, nag-aaral pa.
Ang pinapanood ko naman, historical, is yung Before That King Alliance. Ang una pa dyan. Kasi yun naman, pero nasa 7th episode pa po ako. Malayo-layo pa ako kasi 100 episodes po yun lahat.
Ako katatapos.
Naka-lockdown tayo eh.
Ako katatapos ko lang ng 102 episodes ng
Oh my God.
Three Kingdoms.
Ay, tapos na ako dyan.
Talaga.
In 3 weeks ko yan, in 3 weeks.
Talaga? Okay.
Ganda. I've learned a lot from that. Opera.
Dapat bigyan ng award ang Netflix for making the lockdown meaningful.
Okay. Well, tulad ng bati ng mga Chinese kings and emperors ganito. Salamat sa inyong lahat, mabuhay, and until next week and the other programs, we'll see you again. Please go to GTNR Fans Club bang tawag, and we'll see you again. Mag-aral tayo, mag-imbestiga tayo, magsuri po tayo, and we'll talk again next week.